Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews, and we're so glad you're here with us. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, the man who's a little bit egg-shaped, Garrett Ray, and joining me, it's the man who's craving for more movies. It's Andy Delia.
Thanks, Garrett.
I put so much work into these, and they're still bad.
Yeah, but that's part of your charm.
I hope so, because it's all I got.
It keeps me coming back every week to do this.
Hey, that'll work for me. All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. If you're just catching up now, basically, this is our December catch-up 2-part special. So in the last episode, we talked about A Complete Unknown, Nosferatu, and Carry On. So you can check those out. And then this is the episode that'll have the news. These reviews are going to be a little bit shorter because we're covering 2 children's films. And fun thing this episode, I have seen 2 movies, you have seen 1, and so we've seen 3 movies total because none of those overlap.
Yeah.
So this will be a fun one. I think, the challenge this time will be explaining what the movie was to the other person.
Okay.
So we can explain the story, and then the other
Mine's
person...
going to be easy.
Yeah, probably. We can see if the other person can decide whether or not it was good based on the story explanation.
You already know mine, even without watching it.
Well, sure. I've been ragging on it since before it even showed a trailer.
Oh, yeah. And it deserves it.
But yeah, this is going to be a fun episode. We'll have the news down at the end. We're going to try a little bit to do spoiler-free and then spoilery. There will be time codes for everything down in the show notes, as always. And let us know what you thought about each of these movies. Leave a comment wherever you can on our Facebook or our Instagram at Grand Review Pod, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube videos or whatever. But just let us know for each movie, good, bad, great, or terrible. What's your ranking? We didn't do that for the last ones. Whoops. We'll re-record it.
No, I don't think it was necessary. We said everything that we needed to say about Nosferatu and Complete Unknown.
Nosferatu, great.
Yeah.
The Complete Unknown, I'm going to give it good.
I gave it great.
Yeah. And then Carry On.
Okay.
Bad. I'm just going to give it a bad.
Trying to be a little bit nice to it, it's a bad movie.
I mean, I got to be real stringent on the rules. We only have 4 options.
There's the new option, Drew.
So it's good, bad, true, or terrible.
No,
good, bad. Wait, good, bad. Yeah, no, I think I had it right. No, good, bad, great, or Drew.
Right.
There we go. Got
good,
it.
Bad, great. So right. Carry On was Drew.
Thanks, Drew, for being always
the
there
trooper that you
to
are.
help us get our exact thoughts
the
out.
Connoisseur, like he was a connoisseur of more bad movies than me.
But you know what? I love it. I love that he is like, he just knows what he likes and he enjoys it. And even, I have no ill will towards you, Andy, but every time he tortures you with the movie, it is a little funny.
Yeah, because I know this is karma, like getting back to, I'm sure I tortured my parents with stuff. Yeah. But my stuff was all like Disney stuff when I was growing up before they became the Antichrist.
Well, I have bad news for you, Andy. It's been rotten the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about our first movie. Let's just jump right into this. So, today, right before coming to record these episodes, I have seen Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Oh, cool.
So, spoiler-free review of it. Basically, if you've seen the first 2 Sonics, you know what you're in for. That being said, this is my favorite of the 3. Because of Shadow the Hedgehog. They freaking nail Shadow the Hedgehog in this movie. And I grew up playing the Shadow the Hedgehog video game, and I always just loved that character design. And like I'm not the Sonic fan who goes online and writes Sonic fan fiction because I have what's called standards. But I do.
Since when?
Hey, look, if you go on the internet for 10 minutes and just search for Sonic fan fiction, you'll see that I'm actually kind of a saint. Comparatively,
yeah, you've told me about that.
It's not good stuff.
Yeah, I know,
but it certainly has a very particular flavor. If you know what I'm saying, and the flavor is vomit because it's coming back up every time we read. But yeah, so this is I guess that makes it sound like I've read a lot, doesn't it? That was terrible phrasing on my part.
It's all right.
Anyway, send me your favorites. No, don't do that. Please, dear God, don't do that. But yeah, this is a bad movie that I had a lot of fun with. So all of the places where it's just Sonic and Team Sonic doing Sonic things are fun. They're exactly as ridiculous as you would expect for a really fast blue hedgehog. And they pay homage to the games in a lot of ways that I just kind of enjoyed the little shout outs and stuff. And they've been pretty good about doing that throughout this whole series.
Okay.
Anytime humans are on screen, though, they are an insult to cinema.
So it's James Marsden and Jim Carrey.
I know a lot of people actually like Jim Carrey in this movie, and it's not that I think he's doing a bad job. It's just so Jim Carrey that it's not Dr. Robotnik to me, but that's...
I just like the fact that he said the only reason he did it is because he bought a lot of stuff and he needed the money.
Apparently, he said he would only do it if they sent him a script in gold, and they actually printed a script with 24 karat gold on it.
Really?
Yes, I think... I'll have to look that up to double check that, but...
Because I've seen the first... I didn't see the second one. I still needed to see it. Jessica and Drew came and saw it the one day when I was working.
Yeah, you got out of this one.
I still kind of want to see it. It looks fun.
It's a fun movie. That's the thing is I had fun with it. I just think that the actors are
secondary to the animated characters.
Yeah, and also just bad.
Certain
They're
films like that,
bad.
when they get to this point in a series, that's normally what happens.
Yeah.
Like everybody's there to see Sonic. They're not the humans. You could cast cardboard cutouts and nobody's going to care.
I would rather have watched cardboard cutouts.
Okay.
Honestly, also, yeah, the gold script is real. It's now worth about $100,000. They say Jim Carrey has it.
Of course he does. When he's wanting to do Andy Kaufman again, that's when he'll sell it.
Yeah, he'll sell it off. Yeah.
That documentary is so weird.
So yeah, Jim Carrey plays Dr. Robotnik, but also Professor Robotnik, his own grandpappy. Yeah. And that there's a lot of fun stuff with Grandpappy that I like more than Ivo Robotnik. Okay. So that's good. But James Marsden is saccharine sweet without being convincing at all. So Tika Sumpter is his wife, and she is just... I'm so sorry. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. She is so bad. It hurts. I can't watch those scenes without cringing.
She can't be as bad as the woman from Carry On.
Yes, she can.
Ooh, because that's a bold statement.
It's like watching a high school drama student who just got into drama for the first time. Like it's like watching that. It's really just cringy bad. It's unconvincing, and you can tell they're like, I'm only here for an hour today, so here's some slightly upbeat little performances, and then I'm out.
I'm getting my paycheck and I'm out.
And it's bad. And then Agent Stone, who is there in the first one, he's Dr. Robotnik's assistant, is fine as always, but just seems like a superfluous character. It's someone for Robotnik to beat around, and it's like that joke kind of got old.
Yeah, especially when you get 3 films in.
Yeah, and Adam Pally is Wade Whipple. I hope to never ever see Adam Pally in anything ever again. Sonic's cool though.
Okay.
I actually still think that they have the attitude of Sonic kind of wrong. He's not a quipster. He's just got attitude. He's got 90s attitude. Yeah. That's what he should be. And they've gone for more of a, Marvel quipster kind of person. And I get it. That's what the kids want. I understand.
I like the fact that Idris Elba does Knuckles.
Yes, Knuckles is great in this. I was laughing. He's like, I am 1,000,000% muscle, and at one point he even says, even my teeth are muscles, and it's great. And Keanu Reeves does a great job as Shadow, and really, dare I say, he brings a bit of pathos to the character, and it's good in those ways. It's very much a goofy kids movie. But yeah, it's if you're looking for a fun family flick, I think this will do it. But anytime it cuts to a scene that involves James Marsden, you can just go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Because it doesn't matter; they're going to flash back to it anyway.
It's not that long. I think it's like an hour 45. Yeah. I know there's a secret scene.
Yes, there is. Okay. I'll cover. There's 2 actually, so I'll cover both of those in spoilers.
People showed up in droves for this thing.
Yeah, people went nuts for this movie.
Yeah.
It was, I think, the only thing that it dethroned Wicked, right? was kind of one of the main things.
And Mufasa and this came out the same day.
Yeah. And I think this kind of kicked Mufasa's pants.
Yeah, it did.
Currently,
which I predicted.
Yeah, it's been out for 2 weeks now.
It came out the Friday before Christmas.
Okay, yeah. So it's sitting at $210 million on a $122 million budget right now.
So which means there'll be a number 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no way this is stopping here, and they know that.
But the question is, will Jim Carrey sign on for another one?
Well, we'll get into that in spoilers. I think a little bit. So it's fine. It's bad. Like
that's what our film buyer say. He told me, he's like, yeah, it's fun. He's like, you'll probably like it. He's like, take your son, he'll enjoy it.
I think if I was 12 years old, I'd say it's great. You know, and that's what it's for.
Drew loved it.
I'm sure he did. It's not going to make you want to, go find the tallest part of the banister in the theater and jump off if you're an adult. So I think that's a win. And yeah, like I said, I actually, all the stuff that just is the Sonic team and Shadow, I legitimately think is good. Like it's good stuff. And I once you get into the animation style and stuff, you're like, wow, this looks really consistently convincing. Not in the way that you don't notice that they're CGI characters, because they don't look like as realistic as like District 9's aliens, right? Those you like really feel are in the environment.
Two completely different styles of films.
Absolutely, completely different. But it's consistent, and like one of the images where, and this isn't a spoiler, but where Shadow breaks out and there's this wide shot of all this glass shattering and stuff. It looks fantastic. Looks really good. And so props to the VFX team on this. Like really good work. You want to get into spoilers?
Yeah.
Let's get into spoilers. Okay, so spoilers for Sonic 3. Jim Carrey dies at the end.
Oh.
Twice.
Wow.
But the thing that I want to sums
so
up this whole movie. So he's not going to be
back for number 4.
Unless they pull a Batman, The Dark Knight Rises sort of situation. He explodes in a space station after killing himself. Because his grandpappy, but he literally pokes his grandfather in the butt with an electrified quill, and there is a fart noise, and then the man flies into a nuclear generator and dies. I am not making this up. They die. The main villain dies with a fart joke. He goes,
well, so did the game have a whole bunch of different villains, or was
there's been different villains throughout the series. So there's Zabrak and stuff, but I don't think there's been a Dr. Robotnik's grandfather before. I think that's entirely new.
But I'm saying for like a fourth one, there's enough stuff from the game that somebody could adapt that, and it's not going to matter.
Goodness, yes, of course. I mean, the post-credit scene includes Metal Sonic, which is a villain from the series that originally was like a Dr. Robotnik creation, so I'm not sure exactly how they're doing that. But a bunch of the post-credit scene is Sonic goes to race his brothers, his friends, and overshoots the finish line by a long way, and then ends up in New York State Park, and a Metal Sonic crash lands, and then tries to take a shot at Sonic, and Sonic, shows up behind him and goes, "If you want to take a shot at the fastest thing in the universe, don't miss," and then hits him. And then a bunch more show up. So there's like a legion of these Metal Sonic bots, which is one of my favorite designs from the games. I love Metal Sonic. And he, oh my God, am I a Sonic fan for real?
I've never played the game, so I have no idea what you're.
I just keep saying like, oh, that's one of my favorite designs. Maybe am I a weeb? No, that's anime. That's different. Okay, I'm safe. But the thing that happens is that they all attack him at once, and Amy shows up with her hammer and starts smashing everyone. Amy, classically just obsessed with Sonic, biggest fan, wants to be in love with him, and he's like, "Whoa, girls are gross." And so that's the end credits. So is that
the yellow fox?
No, that's Tails, who is a boy. Believe it or not, he's played by a woman, but he's a boy. But no, Amy is a pink hedgehog. So she's the pink one, and she's got a big hammer and an obsessive personality who won't leave Sonic alone. And
this definitely sounds like a Drew movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But she shows up. She doesn't say anything, but we do get to see her design. She looks true to the games, just like the other characters do. And then more credits play, and then Shadow at the end of this movie. There is a big laser that's pointed at the Earth that's fueled by chaos energy that Shadow has created because he's in league with Dr. Robotnik's grandfather. And he wants to blow up the whole world and everything in it, and that's when Dr. Robotnik learns like what his grandfather's actually doing. He's like, oh, wait a second, I want to rule the world, not destroy it. Blah. And then he stabilizes the reaction because the thing's going to blow up and cause a nuclear fallout all over the world. And Shadow, not Sonic, Shadow helps push the space station away from the Earth so that when it does blow up, it won't cause that cataclysmic event. Right. So they both blow up entirely. Boom! Oh. Giant explosion. You can see it from Earth. We don't know, but we do know that his shoes appear back on Earth, and he picks up the rings that he wears around his bracelet.
So he survived. So he's coming back in 4.
Which means that Dr. Robotnik also could have survived. So possibly they left it open enough. Like they're definitely going to bring Shadow back, but they've left it open to bring Dr. Robotnik back if they send him another golden script.
How big of a paycheck are they going to send Jim Carrey?
Yeah, because the budget's 122 million. 22 million of that is
Jim Carrey.
Just Jim Carrey's down payment.
Yeah,
the man. It's funny. People were making a big deal about him saying, "Well, frankly, I bought a lot of stuff and I needed the money." I think that was a joke.
At least I hope it wasn't, because my whole thing was, well, at least you're honest about it.
Right, yeah. I just think it's a joke. That seems like that's the kind of joke I would make. If someone was like, why'd you come back to do this stupid movie? I'd be like, I don't know, I was broke. Yeah, but I would just joke about it.
Here's the flip side to that coin. In real life, I don't think he has that much of a sense of humor.
Yeah, well.
He's not clever enough to make that just a joke.
You might be right. I mean, he's gotten pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably him and Bob Dylan would probably have similar thoughts. Anyway,
probably.
The other thing that I wanted to say is the guy who plays the general, who's in all 3 of these movies, the general of Gun. He's the old guy who shows up at the house at the end of the first one. And when they're hunting Sonic, and then in the second one, he's doing something else. I don't remember. Anyway, he's a terrible actor. He's just awful. And
I don't even remember him being in the first one, to be honest.
There's this scene where they're in a chow garden, and a bunch of robots show up and blow the place up, and they move. They dispatch all the robots, and then they try to find the general, and they move a board, and he's underneath it, and he looks passed out, and he just opens his eyes and goes, Sonic, take this key. It's just like, it's so bad. It's almost funny because it's bad, but good Lord. They also actually kind of acknowledge that while Jim Carrey is meeting his grandfather for the first time, and he starts going, well, you do look a lot like me. And then he's like, but the similarities are crazy. And they're both doing the same motions and stuff. And then at one point, they literally both turn to the camera and go, it's almost as if we're 2 people being played by the same actor in one movie.
Split screen.
Yeah. So it's, well, no, like they're literally they're touching each other's hands. I will say this, the head replacement or whatever they were doing to make these 2 characters show up on the same screen at the same time, really good. I can think of one moment where they were dancing where I kind of noticed it. But the rest of the time, I was just like, this is seamless.
Better than that thing that you showed me from Red 1 with Chris Evans.
Oh, my goodness. I've got it. Okay, this I will post on our Instagram. I have a photo where someone replaced in Red 1 Chris Evans' double with his face, and it looks like a Snapchat filter from 2015. It's so poorly done.
I just laughed at that when you showed me that last night. That was hilarious.
I couldn't stop laughing because the budget kept going through my head. $250 million.
On what?
And they didn't even just add some grain over it at the very least, and it'll look like it blends in, but it is not his face at all.
See, Wicked didn't even have the budget that film did, and looks way better.
Yeah, like the total budget for both of the Wickeds is only $50 million more than the budget for one Red One.
And at least the money for Wicked was well spent.
Yeah.
Nobody was embezzling off of that one, Todd Phillips and Joker 2.
I hope Dwayne Johnson enjoys his, I don't know, Ozempic or whatever it is people are doing these days.
That Zao energy drink that sucks?
Adrenochrome or whatever. I don't know, man.
That energy drink that he puts out is horrible.
That's what I've heard. But yeah, this movie has so many awful, dumb moments in it, and I just couldn't stop enjoying myself. And I don't know why my brain is like that, but it was fun.
See, I like stuff like that too. Yeah. So I would probably enjoy this when I finally get a chance to watch it. Which may not be till streaming, but
it's fun enough that like and there's little call outs to the game that really are fun. But the thing that I think is funniest about this whole movie is at the beginning, at the very beginning, before the first shot of the movie, you see a bit of Sonic being played on the screen, and then it starts to zoom out, and it's all these Sega classic games, and it zooms out to the Sega logo, and I'm like, you guys think you're Marvel because you made 3 Sonic movies? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're idiots. No one, if you come out with an Altered Beast movie, it's not going to do well.
Just like, Hasbro thinks they're a major Hollywood player because how many Transformers movies do they have?
But how many G.I. Joe movies have gone poorly? Like, you guys are not, you don't have the batting record to do this. Like, you can't do that.
The first G.I. Joe film is that, but the second one's oof.
Yeah, the first one I enjoyed at the time.
I did.
Like the robot suits and they're jumping over all the glass that's breaking stuff. I was like, this is fun. And then the second one was like, even Channing Tatum didn't want to do this. Do you know how bad it has to be for him to say, please don't make me do it?
Yeah, he probably wanted to do another Step Up film.
Or Magic Mike 3 or whatever.
They did do a Magic Mike 3.
They did?
Yeah, Magic Mike's Last Dance with Selma Hayek. It was for Valentine's Day, I think 2 years ago, 2023, and nobody went to see it.
No, I have no words.
The only reason I'd want to watch that is see Selma Hayek at like 52. Like, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's
but I can't
not
sit
aging.
through a Magic.
I don't know what's wrong.
I know.
It's the adrenochrome.
I'm expecting her to be in like Death Becomes Her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. This movie, yeah, it brings in a lot of stuff that is a lot of fun from the games, and I enjoyed the
because I'm not going to get that
fast-paced
stuff.
action stuff, but I do wonder if it would not hit as well if you're not like going, ooh, that's fun. Like the little sign that says goal at the end of the level, and they tap it and it spins as they run past it. Like there's little things like that are just like, hee.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're not familiar with any of that stuff, you just be like, why is that in the woods? and the goal is, or the joke is that they set it up to do this race.
My assumption would be, well, that's from the game, and I don't really know that, so I'm not going to harp on that.
You can pretty much assume that with everything except Grandpa Robotnik.
So what's another Sega game that they would potentially do as a movie since they think they're...
I mean, I feel like they could do a kids movie out of Nights into Dreams, which is kind of an on-rails like flying game.
They could. I mean, if they could do Mortal Kombat, I don't see why they could do Altered Beasts.
I think they could probably do. What is the name of that? Panzer Dragoon. Like dragon stuff could be really interesting.
Okay.
If anyone would do it right, the thing is, every time there's a movie with dragons, it's probably bad.
Well, Double Dragon was done as a film in the year.
That's right.
90s.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that bad. That's a Drew film.
Yeah. Is Double Dragon Capcom though? Might be Capcom.
Oh,
it might be Sega because like Street Fighter was Capcom.
Like the only one I can think to be Sega right now is Zaxxon. That's how old I am.
Yeah, I forgot about Zaxxon. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine though, and like I said, the shadow stuff they really actually do nail that, and I think if they would just have the stones to kill off every human character, and it's just the anthropomorphic child animals. I think it would be better.
And then it turns into Lord of the Rings War for Here.
Yeah. I had fun and was laughing at how dumb it was and the fact that I was having fun. So that's my review. Sonic 3 is fine. I'm going to give it a bad because the script is like still the dialogue is so very first draft it feels. But I still had fun. So
that's cool.
All right.
Not every film can be Nosferatu. So
exactly. Now
you got to just turn off your brain and have fun.
Sonic the Hedgehog versus Dracula. I'd watch that.
It just reminds me of like movies from the 70s that put like two characters together that like I know there's a Billy the Kid versus Dracula movie that
Is there really?
Yeah, I saw it when I was like Drew's age.
How bad is that?
Oh, it's bad. Or even like Scream Blackula Scream or any of those exploitation films.
Goodness. Yeah, that's Oh man, the age of home video truly was something different.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. Like you'd think that it would be replaced with the straight to streaming and they would do junk like that, but it's not the same. Like the streaming stuff.
It isn't.
You know what it is? It's politics.
Okay.
The stuff that's going straight to streaming is all political. No, there's nothing political, I'm sure, about Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
No.
But
it's a stupid 70s film.
Right, yeah. And I think that nothing's allowed to be just dumb fun anymore. It all has to have a message that fits the here's what we have to say because we're in the entertainment industry kind of thing.
No, Kevin Smith's last film is not political. Like the 4:30 movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's just fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And my wife swears that like they followed me around when I was a teenager to make that film. Because she's like, that's how I pictured you when you were like a teenager. And I was like, not too far off. I just wasn't cool enough to have a girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. High school was rough. But yeah, I don't know. I wish that I could not overgeneralize when I make statements like that, but then I think about everything I watch. I'm like, it's always got a political angle to it now. Like even the kids shows, it's all got some sort of
Disney's kind of screwed that up.
Yeah, and I just want to have fun,
Yeah,
it's really.
And
I'm like the girl that Cyndi Lauper sang about.
Okay. And that's the films I tortured my parents with. Honestly, at this point, are they really that bad? Because like the stuff like the Apple Dumpling Gang and all kind of the off Disney animation stuff from the 70s.
Yeah.
And none of that's really as horrible as some of the stuff that I've seen today.
Oh goodness, no! I'd much rather watch the Apple Dumpling Gang rides again than have to sit through Strange Planet, for instance, or whatever. Just because I'm just like,
well, even those like outside like Tim Conway and Don Knotts films that weren't Disney, like The Private Eyes.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff like that was stupid, but you knew it was stupid, but you went just to laugh.
Well, and Don Knotts and Tim Conway are just so freaking fun to watch.
And there's nothing like that now. That's where it's kind of lost, like trying to explain that kind of humor to somebody now.
Comedy duos and just like situational comedy being done really well it's vaudeville.
Gone.
It's slapstick. It's a lost art, really.
Right.
And I grew up doing that stuff with ex-Ringling Brothers clowns. Like I was a part of it.
Yeah.
So I have such an affinity for it because I know the skill it takes to do stupid well. And then there's, on the other hand, a Kevin Hart movie. It's like it's stupid and it's got slapstick, but it's not doing anything interesting, and it's not setting up the dominoes for them to fall. It's just like, and crazy stuff happens, and that's it. And it's just like, well, that sucks. Like let me see how this is all going to fall apart first, and then be surprised by the way in which it does it differently than I expect.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Well, do you want to ruin our moods and talk about Mufasa?
That'll be a good segue into Kraven, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Mufasa is the backstory of Simba's father when he was a cub and then growing up, and generally how that character and Zazu and what was Mufasa's wife's name? Sarabi, yes. Yeah. How they all came about. And it's all told. Rafiki is telling a story to Timon and Pumbaa, and by the guy that does Timon's voice, I can't stand.
Yeah, Billy Eichner.
Yeah,
he drives me nuts.
Why couldn't they just get Nathan Lane?
Paychecks are
he's not doing anything.
No, but I think it's because he doesn't want to. He doesn't have to. I don't know.
So it's all told in flashback to the two characters, which are supposed to serve as comedic relief, and they don't even really do that.
Yeah, I've heard that they like interrupt in the worst times. And it's
they
annoying.
do.
Yeah.
So, and then the whole thing, I guess, jump to spoilers. Then, I did not like this film. I thought it was very boring. I thought it was very basic. There's nothing exciting about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Other than talking lions, that's about all I could get out of it that I could say that I liked.
So, and that's not much because I've seen it in the previews, and that doesn't even look that good.
Well, and even like Scar's character, his name was Taka, and it has like this British actor's voice or kid that it just doesn't work. and it doesn't. Everybody's the voice talents for this are very miscast.
Really,
except Mads Mikkelsen, who's the voice of like the White Lion bad guy.
Okay, yeah, the guy who plays Taka is 30, by the way.
He sounds like he's 12.
Well, I guess this guy was in 12 Years a Slave.
Also, he has some kind of a good film behind him.
Yeah, it comes from The Trial of the Chicago 7. He was in Elvis as
never
BB
got
King.
To see that.
He was
Elvis. I saw.
Yeah, he was BB King in that. I don't know.
I don't remember that. To go back and watch that.
He was in It Comes at Night, Mudbound, Birth of a Nation. Right.
Okay.
Anyway, he's not good.
Not really.
Okay.
No. And it's not. So the story too is being told while Nala is out in the woods having Simba's second child.
Oh,
because the story is all being told to Simba's first child.
Gotcha.
Which I don't remember the name and I don't care.
Then I won't tell you.
But yeah, so the whole thing, Simba's parents were killed in a flood that was kind of caused by Mufasa, or Mufasa's parents were killed by a flood.
Right. Okay.
And then there's these white lions that are out to destroy everybody, and the pride that they're invading, and it's just like I said, it's just kind of there.
So it's not even really interesting flashback. No. Or like
I was dozing in and out of it toward the last part of it. Like I saw how Scar got his scar, and I was like, yeah, that's it. I don't need to see anymore.
Please tell me he just tripped and hit his face on a rock or something.
No, it was so the spoiler too is that Scar, when Mufasa is accepted as an orphan to this tribe, Scar's father tells him, don't ever trust him because you can never trust an outsider and they will betray you. Scar is actually betrays Mufasa early on, so you can see how it evolves into the character in The Lion King.
Why does he betray him?
He makes a deal with like the White Lions to actually lead him to the pride so they can kill everybody off.
Why? Because
he wanted to be king.
Huh.
And he didn't want anybody to contend with that.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's how people... everyone you want to rule over will die.
Yeah, see, now you know why you're not missing anything. So you had the fun movie. I had the...
I am so sorry.
And like the animation's okay, but like I said, the story is just so flat and boring.
Yeah.
That I could have cared. Like, I just wish a big game hunter came along and started making pelts. That would have been more interesting than what I actually saw.
If only Kraven had been there.
I know, seriously. So yeah, bad. Drew loved it, of course. So,
so you'll be seeing it many more times.
I hope not. And I was told that. Well, you're probably not a Lion King fan. That's why you don't like it. No, I love the Lion King. Mm-hmm. I even like the live action one.
Yeah, which is I didn't even like that one, and right. I like the original.
No, but the original one's a classic to me. Yeah. That is. And I have always liked that story because it is Shakespeare's story of Hamlet that can be taught for kids.
Yeah.
And I really like that story. But it's just, this one is a prequel that nobody asked for, that nobody wanted and didn't need to be done, but yet Disney made it anyway and forced it on the public.
Yeah.
And their timing was right to go against Sonic, even though Sonic, won out. How that's been playing out here at the theater is the number one movie like goes up and down every day, just depending on what everybody's coming to see.
Yeah.
So like one day Sonic will be our top film. Next day Mufasa will be our top film. Next day Sonic will, and it goes back and forth like every day like that. So it's curious to see everybody that went to see one film, now they went to see the other one.
Interesting.
And that's why Mufasa has made the grosses that it has.
Because it's sitting at $342 million right now.
Right.
It's outdoing Sonic by about $120 million.
And it's the only other kid film that's out.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else really family related.
Well, no, you could take your kids to Nosferatu. As long as you've taken them to Deadpool before, then you've already made the terrible choices. You can no, and I mean, don't take your children to Nosferatu. Yeah, I'm not being serious. I am being mean to parents who would do that.
And I mean, we still have Moana too, but generally the big two choices are Mufasa or Sonic, and then Moana is for the people that are late to the party.
Yeah, stragglers. Because it was
going to see that
Thanksgiving, day before Thanksgiving, that came out, right?
And no, at Thanksgiving.
Oh, it was the day of. Okay.
That Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, and we still haven't.
Why won't you die?
No, I'm saying that to Wicked.
Oh,
I mean, as much as I like that film, we still have that too.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that to go away.
Well, there's a whole new slate of movies coming out, my friend.
I know.
We're getting there.
Stuff's got to go.
Yeah. But you wouldn't recommend this?
No, I wouldn't.
To anyone?
No.
Really?
Unless you're like have a hyperactive child in search of a good nap. Yes, then I would recommend it.
What if this movie was just made as a sleep aid?
Then it did served its purpose, at least with me.
Good job, director of Moonlight, whose name is Barry Jenkins. Good.
Yeah, and
I
remember at Vegas, like he came out and introduced like the trailer for it, and he was very proud of it, and I was like, really?
Is that the time that he said, now you're probably thinking to yourself, why is the director of Moonlight talking to me about talking lions? And I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were there when I read that quote today and was like, I wonder if this is the one that Andy saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said it was the best decision he ever made.
No.
Disagree.
Although, getting in bed with Disney is big fat Disney bucks, so sure. I understand.
They fluff those dollars, I tell you what.
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
I just thought the same thing I was thought about. Actually, I thought less of this than I did Moana. I think even Moana 2 is a little more interesting than this was.
I kind of liked Moana 2. I'm surprised it was a miniseries that got made into a movie because it works as a movie, even though it's a retread of the first one. At least it works.
Yeah, Mufasa doesn't.
How is Disney so
out of
consistently bad at deciding to do something that like should be made? This made money, so they're making the decisions based on that. I understand money trumps creativity or whatever, but just like do something else. Like just give us something new.
At least like
suck.
At least Elio coming out next year or this year. It's an original idea, and I give them credit for that. The question is, are they going to...
But that's Pixar, right?
No, it's Disney.
Oh, it's Disney Animation? It's
yeah, and then, Lilo and Stitch is the Disney one.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm...
retreading old ground again.
Right, but yet, like at CinemaCon, they come out and say, well, we have new, original, exciting product. And I'm like, hypocrites. Yep. This is not original program. Even when... they were going into the live action, more adult stuff, and they got to the amateur and saying, well, this is going to be a great original like spy thriller. I'm like, no, it's a remake of an 80s film. Yeah. You guys are just preaching to acquire the people that don't know anything about movie history. You know what's ironic? Normally the people in the choir need Jesus more than the people in the audience.
Yeah, that's true. But I hate to be this person and actually you, but Elio is Pixar.
Oh, it is.
I mean, Walt Disney owns Pixar, but it's a Pixar. Like their studio's separate from the Walt Disney Animation, so which would be Moana. So June is going to be like blockbuster because Elio and the live action How to Train Your Dragon, same weekend, and Superman's the weekend before that. No, it's the same weekend. No, it's not. No, Superman's July 11th. July 11th. I was thinking June 11th. That's by the way, I love that trailer. Me too. You put it on everything, and every time I'm like, yeah, this looks good. Like there is something about the IMAX format and that large format. We might have to see that in IMAX. I'd like to because it's filmed for it, and I think sometimes I forget like how IMAX feels. But some of those shots on a non-IMAX screen just look like too wide angle. But the thing about it, if they're shot with IMAX cameras, they're going to fill up the entire IMAX screen. Yeah. They're not going to have the bars at the top or the bottom of them like the letterboxing, dating myself again. Yeah. How it looks. So that's it's not that. I'm just talking about like lens choice. Like some of those shots, I'm like, if you backed up and zoomed in, it would feel more quote unquote cinematic. But that's also just because that's what I'm used to. And everybody's bashing like crypto being in that. I'm like, why? I don't know. Just because Super Pets didn't do well? Yeah. Well, crypto has always been, crypto was to sell toys and to sell comic books to kids. Like that's why crypto exists, is because kids like dogs. But that being said, dogs. Like it being a little offbeat and a little weird, like, and having that in there and acknowledging that some of Superman's like stuff is kind of silly. But looking at the characters that they're bringing out of the comic book from the DC universe and that, and James Gunn
really did his research. And even like having Green Lantern in this with not Ryan Reynolds. Thank you so much.
Yes.
But it's Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner. The original Green Lantern with the dorkiest haircut of all time. I love that. That's great.
The Uncle Fester haircut.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see, I don't know that much about Mr. Terrific, who looks to be maybe one of the main antagonists here.
Maybe not. Of course, he's not revealing anything. But once again, the trailer was, wonderfully put together. I don't need to see anything else for this to make me want to see it.
Yeah. And I love, I think Rachel Brosnahan, is that her name?
Yeah, Mrs. Maisel, who I love.
Yeah, I love her. So I'm excited to see her. At one point, I thought she had dropped out of the movie. I guess I misread the article, but I was really sad when I heard about that. But then she's in the movie, and I'm like, yeah, she's great. She's awesome.
But the whole, I liked Man of Steel. And I did too. I kind of wish they would have brought Henry Cavill back, but
yeah, this guy though, he does do the really nerdy Superman much better.
That one shot in the trailer almost looks like Elijah Wood again.
It kind of, yeah.
When he's there with his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. But.
The only thing I don't like about it so far is that he's got the 2024 young guy's haircut where it's curly and but shaved up on the sides, and he just looks like a tool. But that being said, that's just the world we live in.
Okay.
It's a world full of tools. The world is a toolbox, if you will.
So now from one bad film to another good bad film, Kraven.
I believe you mean the world's best release of 2024, Kraven the Hunter. Let's.
I thought you were going to say The Crow there for a second. I was ready to hate you in the head with something.
I'm all for comedy, but not sacrilege. So Kraven the Hunter. Okay, let me
explain this to me.
Spoiler free first. Let me just kind of lay this out for you.
Okay.
It's about a man. Okay, erase everything you've seen.
Because I know a little bit from the comic books.
Sure, yeah. Erase everything you know from the comic books. Erase everything you've seen of the trailers and your predispositions. I'm going to explain the story to you, and you tell me if it sounds interesting.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So there is a man whose father is the head of a mafia organization.
Okay.
Okay. He has grown up under the fist of this man, and the only redeeming thing in his life, his mother, who was kind, has died.
Okay.
From there, he is completely under the watch of his father, who tries to force him into the same line of work that he's in, trying to set him up to be the head of the mafia when he passes. Instead, this young man goes off on his own and tries to clean up the world by destroying and killing and hunting down the people who do the things his father does. He still has his familial relations, so he finds conflict with his father, but doesn't kill him. But he does try to do good in the face of his father's evil ways. Along this journey, he is killed by a lion and brought back to life with some ancient magic from South Africa. This gives him
Black Panther
special abilities and an affinity with animals, and allows him to get into places and do things that a normal man could not do. Then he has to face off against someone who's an even bigger threat, who has also found a way to get some sort of magical powers. And that man poses a threat and nearly wipes out his whole family, who he's trying to protect while taking out this other mafia boss.
So it's a cross between Morbius and Dr. Dolittle. and to answer,
you're right. It still sounds bad, doesn't it?
Yeah. Asking me if I would be interested to see that film? No. Sorry.
Look, I went in with such low expectations that colored my experience, I'm sure. But the thing is, the villain in this movie is so weird. His performance is so weird. You wanted to see this in
D-Box, too.
I did, yeah. No,
you gotta be kidding me.
Mostly as a joke, though, because I thought, if we're going to go in, if we're going to have to watch this, let's get the full experience.
Okay.
7.1 D-Box. I want smell-o-vision. Let me get the rhino dung up in my nostrils. But that was a weird thing to say. But, but having seen it now, I think it's worth watching purely for the villain's performance, because it's not weird in what are you doing? It's just he's an odd dude and he does it really well.
Okay.
And that part of it is so captivatingly strange that I will actually legitimately go back and watch this again. The rhino is a weird character. And but the performance is actually menacing in some places, and like he's going for it. And you know what? He swung for the fences, and brother, he didn't make it out of the park, but he sure got close. And
yeah, because the whole thing, like this. Initially, we weren't going to play it here.
Yeah,
because I was like, no.
Yeah,
I don't want to even waste a screen on.
Broke my heart. Made me almost as sad as when I found out they were canceling the G4 sequel.
But Sony came back like the Godfather with the offer that I could not refuse.
Yeah.
So they came back and said, look, we know that this has been stigmatized and it's not going to do well. And you only have to play for a week with like a full run of shows. Second week, you can only have one show if you want. You can have two. Doesn't matter. And then it'll be gone on Christmas Eve. Yeah. And I was like, sold.
Yep.
Because initially, like, that was going to be the film that was the stumbling block for us getting Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. Yeah. I want to make sure that we get the creepy vampire in here for Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, nothing says the holidays like that.
Oh, like something awful coming into town? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's actually correct. Got the extended family. And
So yeah, that's why I was like, it was in the other thing at the time too. We were going to have to run Lord of the Rings for 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness!
Until this opening weekend came in, and everybody just started laughing.
How many people showed up for Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim, Andy?
Opening weekend, I could count on my one hand and still have fingers left over to pick and flick boogers with. The entire gross for the opening weekend was, I think, less than $150.
That is insane.
And it was one that Warner Brothers really pushed.
Yeah.
Because, they were telling the film buyers and everybody, look, this is our last film for the year. That's why you have to run for 3 weeks. We're planning on this being a big success. Boy, you guys didn't have the foresight on that one, did you? But yet you knocked down probably one of the best films I've seen this year, Juror Number 2, to a streaming platform in only 20 theaters. Yep. But you gave this thing a giant release, which I understand why. Lord of the Rings has a big fan base.
Yeah.
The problem with it was it's two great tastes, Lord of the Rings and anime, that do not go great together.
Yeah. Well, and I can't speak to the quality of the film. Maybe it's great. I don't know.
My daughter saw it. And she's not a big Lord of the Rings person either, and her boyfriend, they both said it was really good.
Okay, so it's probably fine, but
right.
First off, the only place I've ever seen it advertised is in this theater. I've never seen it. There's been no news. I don't even remember catching away. And I keep up with Lord of the Rings stuff.
We didn't know what it was going to do.
Yeah.
And I was not going to give it our biggest house, so I put it in a medium-sized house. And good. And then the second week it went to number 2 because it doubled up with Kraven.
Yeah.
So Kraven got 2 shows, Lord of the Rings got 2 shows, and then Christmas Eve it was gone.
I will be looking to find a place to watch this at some point. I'm still interested in it. I just was out of town when it was happening.
And it didn't last long enough for me to see it.
By the time I got back, it was gone.
And it was 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I think it just solidifies if anybody wants to see a Lord of the Rings film, it's going to be a live action one that Peter Jackson's, although he produced this and hired on the anime director that was supposed to be real big with anime to draw in that crowd. And everybody's like, yeah, no.
And I have no idea and refuse to look up how it did overseas and stuff, because I'm sure there's a different...
It didn't do anything. No.
Yeah.
It was... And poor Warner Brothers, they're having, they made some bad choices, with Juror Number 2. It's a fantastic movie. And I really like Clint Eastwood as a director, too. So, it just, that film unfolds with so many moral qualms to it that it's very interesting to look at.
Yeah, I'm very excited to go watch it.
But when it comes down to it, the only big film that Warner Brothers had this year was Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Everything else failed. And I feel kind of bad for them.
Well,
but then
don't feel too bad. They mostly steal all that money from artists and stick it in the corporate pockets.
Well, because you got to look at that. As poorly as it did, and even though it was a great movie that we both agreed, Furiosa bombed.
Yep.
Sadly.
I do feel bad on that one.
Yeah.
But I don't feel bad for Warner Brothers. I feel bad for George Miller.
Yeah, more than anything.
Yeah.
And then Horizons. which did so badly they pulled the second part, which nobody knows if that's ever going to see the light of day. There's been no news about that thing at all.
They're going to do the same thing they did with Batgirl and just be like, tax write-off.
Yeah.
Just tax write-off. Just do it. And then, like, if they have to pay taxes this year, they will disappear like in 7 different ways. Like Warner Brothers will cease to exist.
And then Watchers.
Yeah.
Trap. And then Beetlejuice came along and was the savior for the entire year, pretty much.
Was it a $1 billion movie? Or was it close to it, I think?
No, I think it was over. When the worldwide grosses and everything are factored into that, it did enough that like they're trying to desperately get a third one together.
I thought he said really he was never going to do it.
They're trying to do it without Tim Burton.
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's what I said. Because Michael Keaton said he'd do it. But
box office $451 million, $500 million. I was wrong. I thought it did better than that.
So did it even cover the losses from everything else?
No.
And then, come October, Joker fully a doo-doo.
It just never gets old.
No. And then
Joker farts and poo-poo.
Now Lord of the Rings. So I'm wondering at some point if Warner Bros. Is going to have the same problems that Sony does financially.
Oh, that's right. We were reviewing Kraven.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump back into that. I'm going to give it a bad, not a terrible.
Okay.
And so, which surprised me. But the thing about this movie is that it is not good, but there are moments where you can see the director trying to make a film.
So are the action sequences at least worth watching?
They're kind of fun.
Okay.
There's some stuff that Kraven does that like it's not as in there as I'd like, but sometimes the way he moves is really interesting and it looks good.
Okay. Do you think it's too long too? Because that was kind of something that was off-putting.
Not to me. I didn't think so.
Okay.
I felt that there were there things that probably could have been cut. Yeah, I guess, but like I was so fascinated by the weirdness of it that it didn't seem long to me.
Okay.
Because I was like, there's this one moment. I'm going to go ahead and get into spoilers.
Okay.
So spoilers for Kraven the Hunter, if you care. Look, I actually legitimately would recommend you go seek this out if you're curious. If you're curious, I don't think it disappoints.
Yeah, but I'm not going to pay $20 to watch it.
No, steal it. But no, don't. I'm kidding. But the thing about this stupid movie, man, is just that the Rhino has such a weird moment where Hannah and I literally stopped, raised our eyebrows, and turned to each other and went, "What?" Because he's ordered someone.
I wish I was there just to see that.
It was such a weird moment because he's ordered someone to be killed or something, and someone comes in and says he escaped, and so the guy is standing here. He's up against a wall, leaning over a table, and instead of being angry and like turning around and shooting the guy, or, all those classic villain things, this is what he does. Okay, I'm not kidding. He goes, send the weird guy. Like, it's such an odd moment. Like he's trying to be angry but not show weakness or something. I don't know. I've been trying to ascribe meaning and purpose to it since I saw the movie weeks ago, and it still baffles me. And it's so odd.
It can't be any worse than the Rhino from the second Garfield Spider-Man movie, though.
No, it's it's funny. I really love Paul Giamatti as that.
I do
because
too,
it's dumb and I thought it was fun. But yeah, this is he's definitely a better villain than like the bad guy from Madam Web. Or like he's convincingly like, yeah, this guy he seems mild mannered, but there's a real mean dark streak in there. And he speaks softly, and he's like charming in a sort of like off-putting way. And I know that's an oxymoron, but it's true. Like you're like, I feel like I could trust you, but also I know you'd kill me. I can't. And then when he transforms into the Rhino, it looks really painful, and I like that sort of concept. There's this whole idea that he went to a doctor in New York, and they never say who. I'm guessing someone who knows the comics would be able to go, oh, it's that one. But that's how he unlocked the animal within, and he has to take this medication constantly to keep the transformation from happening. And when he takes it out, he's in great pain when he does it. And but anyway, like he's called the Rhino not just because he turns into a rhino, but he has this meeting after he kills this other mob boss to take over these other operations. And he's like, do you know why they call me the rhino? And he goes on this explanation about how, because when a rhino sees what it wants, it charges and it takes it. And he's like explaining to them, there is no way out of this. And he says that, like, he does the Joker thing where he gets two of the other guys to like gang up on one guy and kill him so that they can have the positions. But it's well done. It's well executed. And so the moment that I was on board with this movie, because I've joked all year about it.
Yeah, so have I.
I knew it would be bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, Madam Web does not bode well for this, but it's a different director and all that stuff. This one, there was a moment where they do this really long, like 20-minute flashback to young Kraven. So it starts out with adult Kraven and then jumps back to this, I'm pretty sure. And they're going through how Kraven got his abilities. And Kraven is on a hunting trip with his father and his half-brother Dimitri. And Dimitri is played by the guy who was the short emperor in Gladiator 2.
Oh, okay.
And so, what's his name? Christopher Abbott, maybe?
The one that was patterned after Caligula.
Oh, no, it wasn't Christopher. It was Fred Hetchinger. That's his name.
Okay.
And so they're on this hunting trip, and they're talking about how, dad's awful and they don't want to be like him and all that stuff. And then a lion comes and is threatening Dimitri and Sergei, which is Kraven. And the lion looks at Sergei, and Sergei decides not to shoot because there's some sort of connection there. Mm-hmm. But then something else happens, and the lion charges and attacks Dimitri, and then Sergei gets involved, and Sergei gets taken off, and he gets completely just like ripped up by this lion and like carries him off. And then earlier we were introduced to this young woman whose grandmother does tarot cards and stuff. And she's then got her tarot card that was given to her. That's the strength tarot card. And she was also given some magic potion. And she sees the lion drop Sergei in the grass and then walk away. And she runs up and like gives him the potion that her grandmother had said, whoever you give this to will be revived in ways you've never imagined. Whatever. Anyway, when the lion dropped him, lion's blood also dropped into his out of a wound on the lion into his blood. So now he's got lion powers or something. But that happens, and it's weird. And then Sergei goes back home. His dad tries to get him to take over the family business. He runs away. But then when he goes to this like secluded area that their family used to go hang out at in Russia. Mm-hmm. Because they're Russian, if you didn't know from the name Sergei Kraven.
Figured that out.
So he's in Russia, and he sees people poaching, and he goes out there, and he's now got this like magical connection with animals that he's found, and he sees all this happening. And he goes to stop the poachers, and they're like, "Get out of here! You don't belong here!" And he's like, "This is my home," and they're like, "Well, we'll kill you anyway." And he kills these two men, but there's this shot. And this is a long run up to this shot, but you needed to know the backstory.
Okay.
There's this shot where he gets on top of this guy, and I can't remember if he had a knife or was beating him with a rock, but it's this wide shot that's down low looking through the grass, and you just see the backdrop of this beautiful Russian vista. And Kraven, as a 17-year-old kid, or 15, however old he was supposed to be, his silhouette as the grass waves in front of it, of him just beating this man to death. But you don't see the man. You just see him raising his arms and then smashing them back down. And it looks like a real movie. I don't know how else to explain it. It looks like a movie, not a superhero movie that just got farted out into cinemas. It looks like the director was like, and this is this important moment that I'm going to make a point about.
The director was really like crusading for people to go see this.
Yeah, so J.C. Chandor is his name. He did All Is Lost, Margin Call, A Most Violent Year.
Most Violent Year is mishaply titled. It's not that good.
Is it A Most Boring Year?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, no.
And it's really sad because it's got Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, that's right.
You would think it would be a good... No, it's really boring.
He also did
Margin Call is good.
Triple Frontier was the other one that I think that's probably... I think that's a Netflix movie, if I can remember. But
yeah,
Ben Affleck, paycheck. Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, Garrett Hedlund. No, this did come out in theaters. Anyway. But anyway, you can see him trying to do something with the material. But the thing is, the movie is brought down by the fact that it has, outside of Madam Web, some of the most obvious ADR I've ever seen in my entire life. The first half of this movie, every scene has so much wind, you can see it. You can see the grass. And the people are like, and this is the clearest speech you've ever heard. It's so weird. It's odd as all get out. And there's moments where you're like, that's a replaced line. That's a replaced line. That was not even the same person talking. Like, what is happening? It's such an odd thing.
Almost looks like a bad kung fu movie.
Yeah, kind of. And it's, because I looked over at Hannah, I was like, it's like those movies where it goes, like, there's lips moving and then Godzilla. Like, it's like an old Godzilla movie that's very badly dubbed.
I almost took Drew to this.
It's weirdly, like, violent, though, Like, is this R-rated?
Yeah,
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not ever, like, really fun with the violence like Monkey Man was,
It's just mean.
It's just like, oh, and that guy, there's some blood splatter. Like, that's really all it is. It's just like, it's regular fight stuff, and then you go, oh, that broke his neck. So, okay.
Did they have the tree trunk scene that you were looking forward to?
Oh, yes, they did, and I loved it. Because I always thought it was just a tree trunk. No, there's a blade at the bottom of that tree trunk. He doesn't just hit and explode. He gets sliced in half. It's incredible. And that's the thing, is there's moments like that where I'm just like, that's cool. Like, yeah, do more of that. And then it's like, let's go to a bad exposition dump with ADR.
So it's generally a good director that got dumped with a bad script.
I think so, yeah. Like, the script is weird. There's also just, though, moments where it's like, was this second unit, or is the director snorting his own supply, because the thing, there's this moment where he meets up with the girl that saved his life. He never met her, but he finally tracks her down, and he meets her on a park bench, and he is talking to her about how she's a lawyer now, and she's not able to do a lot of good because the legal system, people get out of stuff all the time, whatever. He's like, what if I could help? Like, I have a list of people. If you can help me find them, then, I can do what I do. Now, the ironic thing is that he told her in the scene before that, when he originally met her, that finding people was what he does. Now he says he needs her to find those people so that he can do what he does. So that's confusing. Second, though, later after that, he tells her to do what she does so that he can do what he does. And then what she does is tell other people to do what she does. She tells other people to go find this person. I'm like, you're not finding people. You know people who find people. But he was the people who find people. So why are you people here?
That's too many peoples.
It's exactly.
Just watch The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix.
And it wasn't just that. That scene on the bench, he handed her something, and she gets up and, like, starts walking. Okay. If you're in front of the bench, right? Just picture yourself looking at a bench. Two people are sitting on it looking towards you. Okay, with me?
Okay.
She gets up and she walks to the she walks to the left, past where Kraven is sitting. Now she sits there and says she stops and turns and says something to him. When she got up this way, it looked like she was walking away and then had like one last thought. Now, if you turned back and had one last thought, would you then turn and continue moving left?
No.
You wouldn't?
I don't think so.
Home's that way.
Oh,
you got up to start walking this way and then turned around and said, one last thing. Would you then continue in the same direction you were going before?
Oh, yes.
No, she goes that way. She goes to the right. It makes no sense. It's geographically insane. It's so weird.
Yeah, but is anybody, like, really paying that much attention to it?
I was, and it bugged the heck out of me.
You know who would else pay that much attention to it? And I'm glad I didn't take her to see it? Jessica.
I would love to hear Jessica's thought of this.
Oh my God! Yeah,
it's such an odd thing. And then the fact that she's like, what I do is find people, and then what she does is literally make a phone call to tell someone else to find the person, and then that person meets up with her later and then dies.
It sounds like it's just a mess.
It is, but it's fascinating.
So how was Russell Crowe in this?
Russell Crowe's great.
Is he in it for more than 10 minutes?
He is, actually. He's in it quite a bit.
Oh.
The middle part, he's not in there as much, but he's definitely like, he's there through the whole thing. Because basically they try to kill Sergei's father in a nightclub that's like Dimitri's nightclub, and he does all these like impressions. So this is what Dimitri is. He is, and if you know the comics, you know who Dimitri is, but he does these like impressions of all these other singers and stuff. So he owns a nightclub because he's a weakling. He's not one of the mob guys. He can't do it, right?
Right.
And so he is doing performances as these other singers and stuff. And it's his birthday, and his dad is there, and then a bunch of people from the Rhinos gang, I think, show up and try to like shoot up the whole place. And Dimitri hides under the table, and Russell Crowe gets up and shoots people. It's really awesome. And then he goes and like pulls his son and is like, my son can't even take care of himself. Hell, he take care of me. I am disappointed in you, you weak wimpling. Blah. And then
he wouldn't have survived on wolves.
No, not at all. And so he's there, and then Dimitri gets kidnapped when they go to Rhino finds out that he is on Kraven's list. And then someone leaks who Kraven is to Rhino because Kraven was a myth. So he this whole time he's been killing people, and they know he exists, but they don't want to acknowledge it. He's like this mysterious figure that explains when bad things happen to people. But then someone leaks to Rhino the video footage of Kraven breaking into the Russian prison where he killed the guy that he was after, the one where he goes, where it's like that super grovelly, like, and that's in the trailer.
Okay.
It's that scene. He kills that Russian guy, and then this footage gets to the Rhino. The Rhino then goes after him when he's at his brother's house for his birthday, but Kraven can't sleep inside because it's too loud with the air conditioner and he needs to be in nature. So he goes and lays in the park, which is not quieter in the city. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but while he's asleep out there, they kidnap his brother, and his brother gets taken away instead of him killing Kraven. So he feels guilty because he left him behind when they were kids, and now he's got to go find him because he's not going to leave him behind this time. And that's when he tries to find the Rhino and gets involved with the girl that saved his life. And then ADR happens, and and then they end up back in Russia, and oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you, Andy. So there's a man, there's a man called the Stranger, I think is his name, and he gets hired by the Rhino to go hunt down Kraven because he's already been hunting down Kraven. Now you might think, why not just follow this man if he's already hunting Kraven so I don't have to pay him? I was thinking the same thing. There is no explanation for that. So they hire him to do what he's already doing. And he goes to all the places Kraven's been before. And when he shows up somewhere, he has this power where he can mesmerize people. And are you bored by this yet?
No, I'm just thinking this is the Marvel version of Horizons.
Yes, it is. So this guy, he shows up at the Russian prison where the first guy that Kraven kills in the movie died. Okay? He shows up there. He's looking at all the evidence. He's trying to figure out, was this Kraven? Was it not? Because he's hunting this man. Because he's mad at him because Kraven killed his mentor or something. I don't know. And when he gets stopped by the guards, he looks at them and he goes, 1. And then everything gets kind of blurry. And he goes 2, and he starts like moving, and the other people are like frozen. But he's like a shadow, like a whisper, like whew, whew. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. And then when he says 3, the guy's like got his own gun turned on him and shoots himself in the head by accident, or I don't know. Like it's his power.
Was he trying to be the shadow?
I guess that's the thing. Is this? I'm sure it's in the comics. Come at me in the comments. That's fine, but I don't know who this guy is, and I don't understand his power, except he counts to 3 and then people die. Okay? Now, at the very end of this movie, after this has happened multiple times, not once, not one time has the woman who is a lawyer, whose grandmother was into tarot cards and gave her magic potion, has she ever seen this man count to 3? This guy hates Kraven. He shows up in Russia at Kraven's home base and beats the crap out of Kraven. Just doing this thing where he's like messing with his head. He's poisoned him with a toxin that causes Kraven to have his worst memories come to like what Scorpion does, but it's not Scorpion because that would be another character that they'd have to design, and they didn't want to have to do that. And he finally has Kraven on the ground. He's done toying with him. He's going to actually kill him. He goes 1, 2, and then a bolt from a bow goes through his head And the woman on the ridge now, who has appeared out of nowhere, says, 3, mother effer. The only reason we know she can shoot a bow is because earlier in the movie, when she was at Kraven's house, she picked one up and he said, well, be careful with that. And she goes, I'm actually pretty good with these things. Also, she was too far away to hear him counting. He was being quiet.
So she's Katniss Everdeen now from Hunger Games.
I know I'm like overly exasperated about this, but I cannot explain how weird it is to watch. It's fascinating.
I'm surprised it's not on like streaming yet.
The moment it is, I will be keying it right back up, queuing it right back up, because I want to see like if there was something I missed that made some of this made sense. I know it's not, but
did you fall asleep?
No, I was so entertained.
Oh, okay.
I genuinely recommend this to people who like bad movies. Like it is
okay. So I do like bad movies, so I gotta watch this.
I think if you go into it going like, okay, how many things can I catch that don't make any sense? If you go into it with that, it's fun to just kind of like see the number go up. Anyway, sorry, that was a lot, but those moments are stuck with. I can't remember Sonic the Hedgehog, and I just watched it. But Kraven the Hunter,
you saw like a month ago.
It's living rent free in my brain.
That is even the one that I streamed off of Hulu the other night. I think I remember more than I do Nosferatu, and the aptly titled Cuckoo.
Yo, yeah, you told me that was not good.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like somebody stuck a David Lynch and David Cronenberg film together, and that was the result.
Oh,
and
goodness.
It just leave me scratching my head a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, and poor Jessica had to watch that with me. I'm sorry, hon.
Sorry, Jessica.
Well, she fell asleep.
This one's not my fault. All I suggested was Little Italy.
Yeah.
So I did want to point out there was one piece of news that was directly connected to Kraven the Hunter. And
okay.
we talked about this earlier or alluded to it. The Sony CEO blames the critics for Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web flopping. He denies that they were bad movies.
Delusional.
I would just like to reference back to everything I just said over the last 30 minutes. But yeah, Sony Pictures CEO Tony Vinciquerra, I hope I pronounced that right. He took his position in 2017, says he hasn't faced a dud as big as Kraven the Hunter since stepping in. So it's
Are you kidding me?
It's taken only $18.5 million domestically off of a budget reported to be north of $130 million.
Well, it was supposed to come out like last. 2003. It was supposed to come out in August.
2023, you mean?
Yeah.
I was about to say, wait, how old is this movie?
It was supposed to come out that August because and then the next thing you knew, it was gone from the release schedule. And then I think they were talking about like putting it out in summer of last year. And then the next thing you know, it ended up like right in the middle before Christmas in December. And all of us just kind of looked at that and laughed and going, could you have possibly give that film the worst release date and slot ever? Because you're putting it up against, nobody knew how bad Lord of the Rings was going to do. But
still, Moana and Wicked and all these things that people
are
like
carrying
frothing
over
at the mouth for still.
Right.
Yeah.
Terrible. That's like it. In all fairness, it sounds like an August film, which is the toxic dumping ground of movies.
Yeah.
That normally August and September are like when the bad films come out.
Yeah.
And
I know a lot of people traditionally think a lot of people say it's January, and for a while that was a dumping ground. But it's that first little bit of school. Everyone dumps their crap there.
Well, this year doesn't look that bad for January. I like some of the titles.
Yeah, I'm excited for January.
Probably like there's no family films at all until Dogman comes out.
Well, everyone knows that children go into hibernation the day after Christmas, so they'll be back in March.
Yeah, they'll be back in school. Well, that's the other thing that I told our film buyer yesterday. I said I'm worried about spring break in March.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "There's no family film at all."
Yeah,
and Mickey 17 changed the release date again to the beginning of March.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bode well for that film, although I'm still excited for it.
Oh, me too. I think I'm going to enjoy it no matter what.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's right. These reviews are biased. If you weren't aware of that, deal with it.
But and he's like, well, they may, the studios do change their mind at the drop of a hat, so they got to look at.
Well, as we know, they're just a bunch of monkeys on a trampoline in a suit.
Yes, that's throwing dartboards. Or throwing darts at a dartboard. Yeah, one of my best lines from last year.
Absolutely your best.
So, yeah, like in next, even February, there's not that much outside of Captain America and Paddington.
Yeah. Both of which I'm excited for. Yeah, I know you're not excited for Paddington, but
not so much for Paddington.
They're so charming, though.
I'm willing to give it because I know it's an hour and 42 minutes, so it's short.
That's the right length.
So, and Dogman is an hour and 29 minutes.
God, they need to cut 29 minutes off of that.
Yeah, more than like an hour and 15.
I really wish that and Wolfman were coming out at the same time, because then we could do this thing where I go see Dogman and you see Wolfman, and I'm talking about Dogman, but I think it's
we talked about that.
Oh, that would have been so fun. Well, Vinci Chiara. He said that the critics buried Kraven the Hunter before it even hit theaters. He said, to back up his claim, he also cited Madam Web. He said, Madam Web underperformed in the theaters because the press just crucified it. It was not a bad film, and it did great on Netflix. For some reason, the press decided they didn't want us making these films out of Kraven and Madam Web, and the critics just destroyed them. They also did it with Venom, but the audience loved Venom and made Venom a massive hit. These are not terrible films. They were just destroyed by critics and the press for some reason.
So here's something.
People liked Venom, though, you idiot. These have to be bad.
Here's something else, too, like to kind of set the landscape, too. Like for CinemaCon last year, Sony didn't have a presentation.
Yeah.
So that right there speaks volumes about, so you have no faith in any, because they had some big titles. Mm-hmm. If anything, Venom.
Yeah.
And even Garfield to some extent, because that was going to be a big kid film.
Yeah.
And your presence there to not even remotely put something together just tells me that, somebody that's been in this industry for a while, that you don't have any faith in what you have. You know that what you have is garbage.
Yep.
And it's not even worth promoting.
And I understand that he can't come out and go like, yeah, we made some crap films. My bad. Yeah. Like, you can't do that. But
there's some directors that have done that. Or even some actors and actresses that said, yeah, we know it's a bad movie.
Robert Pattinson famously hates Twilight.
Right. And good for him. I have more respect for him because of that.
Yeah. But here's the thing is, I think that there's the side of it where they have to say certain things to keep shareholders happy, blah, blah, blah. You can't tank your own company, right? But then on the other hand, he mentioned specifically that Madam Web did great on Netflix. You flipping ding dong. It's hate watching.
That's almost like
you can't tell the difference between them for some reason, but people are watching it because they want to see why everyone hates it. That's it.
And it's almost like calling you're the smartest kid with Down syndrome.
Yeah. Like it's just why are you trying to justify if it comes on streaming? Here's the thing. I already have the streaming service. It's there because it's a dumb choice that I've heard everyone talking about how bad it is. I'm not going out of my way to spend money on it.
It wasn't even the critics that ripped Madam Web apart. The comic book nerds with the advanced screening got a hold of that and ripped it to shreds.
You just have to look at the trailer to know it's not going to be good. It's bad.
And if you know anything about the comic books, you know the casting is completely off. The characters are...
Absolutely.
And once again, my whole thing, Sydney Sweeney's in it, bad movie.
Yeah, well, that's probably fair.
That's why I say, the one horror film I didn't see last year was Immaculate because she was behind it, and I'm like, that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
And then everything
that one's been completely forgotten. Like and
then
no one's talking about it anymore.
Well, even my film buyer, who me and him love horror films, he was like, well, it's Sydney Sweeney as a nun, naked and pregnant most of the film, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm out.
Why does everyone feel the need to romanticize naked nuns?
I still think...
Oh, right, Catholic suppression. Sorry,
beside Heretic, I think one of the best horror films I saw last year, Long Legs, because I really enjoyed that. Yeah. I like the story to it. I like the pacing of it. And The Substance. The Substance I loved.
I need to see The Substance.
Because it just kind of flies in the face of modern day Hollywood. Mm. And like what people should look like and what the media portrays them to be and everything. And it's very... well thought out and well put together. It's a little bit on the long side, but it doesn't seem that long.
So would you say it's got some long legs?
Longlegs is still my favorite horror film of last year. I loved it.
I think Heretic's my favorite. Heretic.
Heretic
but I
is
haven't
right
seen
behind
Longlegs and Substance.
I don't know if you're going to like Longlegs. I'm kind of scared for you to watch that.
No, I mean...
Because we even got it back here, remember? And nobody came and saw it the second time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
But the guy that made that, Osgood Perkins, son of Anthony Perkins, the famously Norman Bates.
Yeah.
His new film looks really cool too. That I want to see. That I'm probably not going to go with you because it's another horror film called The Monkey, based on a Stephen King story.
Is that the one that is about the clapping monkey thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'm kind of
Oh, okay.
I mean, it just maybe it'd be fun. I don't know.
Because I was surprised you like Nosferatu. Actually,
Like I said, man, it's one of the most honest looks at how evil gets into our lives. We allow it. We ask for it.
Cool.
And I just thought that was really interesting.
Because once again, I've made you see more horror films than you've seen in your entire life.
As long as it's not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre type situation where it's just long and boring and has no purpose, that's
no. Well, it's funny that film was only like an hour and 25 minutes long.
Yeah, but in my soul, it took off 10 years, my friend.
Okay, to the news.
Let's get into the news.
Yeah.
News. I've got plenty of things to talk to you. First and foremost, we alluded to this earlier. Chevy Chase, who is, of course, saw Saturday Night. So he saw this in a screening with the director, Jason Reitman. And literally, he comes up to watch. This is directly from Jason Reitman. He says, so Chevy comes in to watch the movie, and he's there with his wife, Janie, and they watch the film. And he's in the group, and he comes to me after, and he pats me on the shoulder and goes, well, you should be embarrassed. That's it. That's all he said.
Because he made Chevy Chase look like a real D-bag.
Yes.
Which he probably is in real life.
Yeah, Chevy Chase is a but yeah, Reitman, he told this anecdote on the Talking Pictures podcast, and also noting that Chase has known him since he was a child. So, he's known him his whole life. But Reitman continued saying, I'm trying to balance it because in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm getting my own Chevy Chase moment that's 1,000% only for me right now. And from the comedy point of view, that's really pure and that's kind of cool. But also, I just spent like 2 years of my life recreating this moment and trying to capture Chevy perfectly. And also even in the ego, find the humanity and give him a moment to be loved. No, none of that crap played. He's not talking about that stuff.
It's really sad that movie bombed another really Sony film.
Yeah.
It's really they could have if they were smart, they would have promoted that in Vegas.
They tanked that movie
themselves.
Yeah, like that's completely on them. Because Apple screwed up Wolves for them, I think. But Saturday Night they screwed up themselves.
Yeah, they did.
And
because they wouldn't let us play it here.
That's right, yeah.
Because I tried.
We had to go all the way to Austin for that. And we didn't even get our free popcorn.
No, we didn't. We went and saw Wolves.
Oh, no, that's Wolves.
That's Wolves.
Well, we still didn't get our free popcorn. And you paid for nothing.
That's right. Well, no, I paid to actually see one of the best films from last year.
Yeah, Wolves was so good. I love that movie.
It was.
Saturday Brad Pitt's a bad person.
Saturday Night's really up there, too. I really enjoyed that film.
Yeah, I got to sit down and do my top 10 for next week.
Yeah.
So apparently Netflix is telling writers to dumb down their content. Did you see this?
No. Is that possible? We saw Carry On. How dumber can you get?
Worse. Listen to this. Listen to this. In a new article published by N+1 via World of Real, the author, I'm getting all this from Joe Blow News, by the way.
Okay.
The author reports that there is a common note that is given to writers for Netflix original content that goes like this. Have this character announce what they're doing so that viewers who have this program on in the background can follow along.
I'm done.
I'm flabbergasted. Like they're so focused on people being able to follow while they're playing on their phones that they're literally telling people, have this person go, I am picking up the bag now. And it's just like...
Everybody needs to be like the band Tool. When you see Tool live, Maynard, the lead singer, comes out and tells everybody, put your phones away. Yeah. You have to connect with us in the music for the 2 hours that we're going to be on stage. And this... I really agree with that. That's really what a concert experience should be.
Yeah.
For me, that's gone to a lot of concerts, but that's really what that should be. And now you have Netflix coming out and saying, well, you need to be stupid and like do whatever and not even pay attention to the content that we're making, that we're spending how much money to put on a TV set.
Yep.
You're an idiot.
And I'm making an active choice when I'm watching stuff now to pay attention to that. And what it does is it actually kills your ability to sit there and binge forever because you're not constantly going back and forth and just losing time. You actually have to go I'm going to watch this without my phone in my hand, and you really actually start to understand how much time you're spending doing that. But yeah.
not all of Netflix's content is I really like the show The Lincoln Lawyer too. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
That's third. I know Jessica and I finished the third season, I think beginning of December.
Okay.
All 3 seasons of that are really good. The last season was really good.
Okay.
And yeah, so there's not everything they make isn't stupid. But to intentionally dumb down people for that, you have no soul. You really don't.
I know. It's here's a very sad example. So the article gives the example of Netflix's movie Irish Wish, which stars Lindsay Lohan and Ed Spielers, and she says, "We spent a day together." Lohan tells her lover James in Irish Wish. I admit, also terrible name, Irish Wish. It's like saying rural juror.
Well, that's like the one that Jessica tried to watch. Even she shut off the snowman one.
Oh yeah. Well, let's not even. She says, "I admit it was a beautiful day filled with dramatic vistas and romantic rain, but that doesn't give you the right to question my life choices. Tomorrow, I'm marrying Paul Kennedy." "Fine," he responds. "That will be the last you see of me because after this job is over, I'm off to Bolivia to photograph an endangered tree lizard." These are real lines. These are real lines from a movie.
You and I could write better.
I have. So yeah, they're just demanding that everyone who's on staff makes content vapid, repetitive, and just try to keep the interest of the audience so they can keep up. This is. I finally have it.
See,
I finally have content I can look at and go, I could give this to my mother and she would actually know what's going on, because my mom always doesn't pay attention the first 5 minutes of the movie and then is asking questions the rest of the time.
This is making Paramount and Max content look good.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Well, Paramount's come up with I really like Tulsa King and I really like Landman with Billy Bob Thornton. That show really has me hooked.
Man, Netflix. Ugh.
And even I need to see Penguin on Max.
Oh yeah, me too. Disney. Let's talk about Disney real quick. Okay. So far, the budget for Andor, the Star Wars series, is north of $645 million.
Whoa!
So that is it doubles what they spend on movies.
That's 3 Joker folie à deux.
It is 3 Joker folie à deux. And it's just crazy because they also spent around $230 million on the Acolyte.
I mean, is it all effects laden? Is that's where they're spending all this money on?
That's the thing, is I think it's just because actors know that if they're going to get cast in a Star Wars movie,
they got deep pockets.
They've got deep pockets, and they're going to be tied to that role forever, they think. Which would be true, except for in The Acolyte, because no one wanted to watch it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see it until you said how bad it was, and I just stayed away.
Gosh, I can't even. The story of it is so bad. That's the only word. It's bad. No, actually, it's terrible. But Andor, by all accounts, I've watched part of the first season, and then, as I often do, had to go do something, and then never came back to it. But that season was really good. People said the second season is fantastic. So, good for them for spending money on the thing that's actually working. The problem is they're also spending just as much money on stuff that's terrible. And also, I think that $650 million for 2 seasons of this show is probably more than it needs to be. But
I guess Disney's siphoning the money from Deadpool, Moana, and all the theatrical stuff and feeding it into that.
I don't understand how they make money on these streaming
I don't either. Because I know, well, you figure everybody has to pay a membership fee per month to have that. Or the people that are piggybacking and sharing passwords and everything else.
Yeah.
But there's only so many people that will subscribe to that, and Disney has lost viewership from what I have read from Disney Plus.
Yeah,
and then also they're consolidating with Hulu. So yeah, I would curious to see a P&L for that for a month and see how all that works.
And if it's a loss leader, when does that turn over? And Netflix famously has never made a profit. At least that's what their accounting says. But that's Hollywood accounting for you. No one ever makes
somebody's making money.
Yeah. So I don't know. The budget was crazy on that, and I wanted to point it out. But you know what's really crazy?
What?
Francis Ford Coppola. So
we know this.
I'm not going to go into this article. I just want to read the headline to you. No, actually. It's just a line that made me laugh really hard when I read it. Francis Ford Coppola, hopeful for the next generation of filmmakers. He says he has high hopes for them, saying, "We won't even be able to comprehend their vision." And I would just like to respond by saying, Francis, we can't understand your vision.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
For anybody that saw Megapolis, which we strategically said no to.
Yeah, we got to get around to it because I saw something about it yesterday that just I couldn't.
Well, we had the chance to play it here, and I said no.
Okay, but that might have been a mistake. And let me.
No, it was
not a financial mistake, but an us viewing it mistake because I have now seen footage of Jon Voight sitting in a chair with a little bow in his hand, like he's Cupid, saying, "What do you think of this boner?" And I cannot stress enough how weird that is and how much I want to know what the context is.
The other thing of that, too, is Aubrey Plaza's in that, too. And even though I want to see the Amazon film that she did, My Old Butt, paraphrasing there, of course, because it sounded like an interesting film, I don't really like Aubrey Plaza. And she was like one of the main characters in that, too. And I was like, yeah.
I like her in Parks and Rec, but everything after that, I'm like, man.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Well, and No Safety Guaranteed was good, and she was in that.
I did like that, but not for her.
Yeah.
And the criminal one, too. I did like that, but not for her.
You know what I do like, though?
What?
Scrubs. Scrubs is coming back, apparently. So they...
Because none of those guys, all of them have nothing else to do.
Yeah, and which is sad because John C. McGinley's great, and I hate to use a term.
And he got started in Oliver Stone films.
He did a lot of weird films, and
the Oliver Stone stuff he did wasn't strange.
Well, no, not that. I'm just saying, like he was in before he did Scrubs, he was in a lot. He would just pop up in movies all over the place, and they normally were not movies that did well, but he was good in them.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
he's really good in Platoon.
Yeah, and he's really good in Scrubs. Honestly, like heartbreaking performance sometimes. Very, very good. But yeah, that's coming back. I don't know if I'm excited about it, but I will watch because I love Scrubs.
Yeah, until it's proven bad, and then
I'll stop.
Yep.
And then I'll come back to it to watch John C. McGinley anyway. James Gunn says he didn't plan to make a Clayface movie in the DC universe, but they are doing it because Mike Flanagan's script was too good. Mike Flanagan did a Haunting on Hill House or whatever the Netflix scary spooky series is. But yeah, Gunn told IO9, I didn't plan on making a Clayface movie. Mike came in. He pitched this wonderful idea. I was like, dang, I can't believe you got me to want to make a Clayface movie. But he's got to write the script, and who knows how that's going to work. He goes and he writes the script. First draft is great. Second draft is even better. And then I'm like, let's do it. So we found a place for it because if there's quality stuff, we can find a way to work it in. This is a great approach to making these movies.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm very excited.
Mike Flanagan, too, is behind the Salem's Lot reboot, which finally came on, which actually I liked. Dr. Sleep, which I really liked, too, the Shining sequel. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure he did it 1 and 2.
Was it Mike Flanagan that did this? Oh, it might have been.
So generally, he's done a lot of Stephen King stuff.
Yeah, I suppose he has.
Every one of those is Stephen King related.
Yeah, it's.
But I like what he comes up with.
The only place I know is from the Andre Muschietti did it, not Mike Flanagan. Okay. But I know he did The Haunting of Hill House, and that was very, very much beloved. I wanted to point out the Superman stuff. So we talked about how we liked the trailer. There were reports that early reactions to test screenings were bad. And that was making the rounds for a couple of days. Is it Warner Brothers?
Yeah, Warner Brothers is putting that out.
They had a spokesperson come out and say, we haven't done any test screenings, so I don't know where this is all coming from, but we haven't done any. Yeah, it's all clickbait. So if you've heard that, no, Superman's probably going to be fun.
I refuse to think it's going to be a bad film.
I also do, yeah.
And James Gunn really, maybe he's the person that's really going to turn DC around for Warner Brothers.
Yeah. I also love that they're no longer they don't have the old DC logo on there anymore. Yeah. They're using they don't have the new one on there. They're using the classic one to try and be like, it's back to basics, everybody. Goodness. Also, there's been a delay on the Batman 2, and it's apparently due to just script issues, which I'm sure they'll work out.
That's being pushed around forever now, though.
But you know what? I trust that it's going to work.
That's kind of what I'm behind too. They can take as much time as they want, because if it comes out as good as the last one did, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and I think that the director, who I forgot his name,
Matt Reeves.
Yeah. I think that he's not one of those people who's just going to sit in development hell forever, because the Robert Pattinson Batman movie got pushed around too.
It did, but it did really well when it came out.
Yes, it was 2017. I remember hearing about it for the first time, and so that took 5-6 years.
I was all excited when we got the first teaser posters when I was working for AMC.
Yeah,
and they went from me getting them at box office straight to my car.
It doesn't do that here, folks. It's fine. The movie posters stay at the theater.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been delayed from 2026 to 2027. And James Gunn said on Threads, he was posting there because no one uses X anymore because they both jump ship. He said, to be fair, a 5-year gap or more is fairly common in sequels. 7 years between Alien and Aliens, 14 years between The Incredibles, 7 years between the first 2 Terminators, 13 years between Avatars, 36 years between Top Guns, and of course, 6 years between Guardians Volume 2 and Volume 3. So he's like, this is not that big a deal. Everyone chill out.
There are some negative things to that too, like Sin City and Sin City 2.
Yeah, he picked 12 nice examples.
Yeah, 12 years between those, and then Dame to Kill For bombed horribly. Yeah. Not that it was a bad film, just there's too much time between the movies.
Yeah, and I think there was an edginess to the early 2000s that had kind of died off a little bit by the time that second one came out, so the window was kind of
or then to go the Robert Rodriguez route again, Machete and Machete Kills.
Yeah. Yep.
But then that was just for the simple fact that Machete Kills had Mel Gibson as the bad guy, and it was a crappy movie.
Yeah. That's too bad.
So was Machete, though, to be honest.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, apparently the only reason for the delay is there isn't a full script. So he says Matt is committed to making the best film he possibly can.
Because there's
no one can accurately guess how long it'll take to write.
There's all sorts of rumors flying around too about who the bad guy in that's going to be. Because one minute I read that it's Mr. Freeze, next minute that it's something that they're going back to Scarecrow.
How would Mr. Freeze work in this world?
Because
that's interesting.
The mock-up posters that they have for that are all snow-laden and everything to hint that it's Mr. Freeze. Okay. But I trust what they're going to do with that. And like I said, they can take as much time as they want. As long as it comes out as good as the last one, I'm fine with it.
I'll go in blind as much as I can because I'm just I just want to be surprised.
Do that anyway.
Hey, it's tonight. I plan on poking out one of my eyes to make it even easier.
No, please don't do that.
No, I wouldn't. I would never. These beautiful baby browns, these are staying. Remember Armie Hammer?
Yeah, Cannibal Boy.
Yeah, so he he appeared on Tom Segura's Your Mom's House podcast. And he said he put some of the blame on how everything went really far on the lockdown from COVID-19. He said the world seemed like it was falling apart and people were just deeply unhappy with their own lives. And then this salacious story comes around where this actor wants to murder and eat people. And all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, this is so much more fun to focus on than the fact that I can't leave my living room. He also noted that words can easily be taken out of context, which, while the words themselves may not be true per se, do give people and tabloids what they want. Saying, quote, this possession kind of thing, that's just fun to talk about. And by the way, especially if you're drunk or stoned or high at night and you're texting. And while you're saying it, you're chuckling to yourself man, I'm going to effing cut your toe off and keep it in my pocket so I got a piece of you everywhere I go. Ha ha ha. If anyone took anyone's bedroom conversation, specifically, if people were having a bit of sexy time and they took the crap they said that even if it was completely vanilla and you read that somewhere else out of context, everyone's going to go, you guys are effing disgusting.
His manager needs to disavow any knowledge of him. Or
Hold
his
on,
publicist.
What he's saying here, if I understand correctly, is that he's told someone he was going to cut their toe off and keep it in his pocket so he could get a piece of them everywhere. That sounds really strange, but I would just like to point out that he may have a point here. Okay, and I know this sounds like a joke, but I'm legitimately going to say something that makes this seem more plausible or makes me seem like an idiot.
You did that well by yourself. You need to have somebody else do that for you?
It's fun to have help.
Okay.
But my wife literally has hugged me and been like, I want to be closer. I want to be inside your skin. And we joke about it now. It was a joke. And, out of context, the look you just gave me, totally understandable. But now it's just a thing where it's like, because we were talking about how we just like being close to each other. It's like, what's the closest you can be? You just wear someone like a skin suit. That's the closest you could ever be. And it's a weird thing to say, sure, but we're goofy and dorks, and we don't mean anything by it. We're certainly not getting inside each other's skin.
Yeah, but that's why I'm friends with y'all.
But he's got a point. If someone heard that out of context, if they were just walking past my house and heard me scream, I want to be inside your skin. Yeah, they'd probably think that we were cannibals or something weird like that. And it would absolutely be a salacious story if anyone cared about me at all. So, he's got a point.
I still blame his fracture on doing that movie, Sorry to Bother You, with the horse people and the crazy story.
I don't know, man. People loved that movie. People were raving about it.
And that's why I went to see it. And that was one of Jessica's and I's dates. And then when it turned into horse people, and we were like, what?
Yeah.
It's a strange movie.
Somehow weirder than Kraven.
It is. Especially horse genitalia either with I'm not going to, never mind.
All right. Well, I'm not going to look that one up now. It's not going on the list.
No, because the really sad part about that film too is it starts off really interesting with the guy doing telemarketing and having the white voice, and he raises in the ranks, and until you really get into what that story is and you go, oh my God, what am I watching?
I'll look up the summary and see if I can piece something together in my head. Just really quick, 10 seconds here. I just want to say congratulations to Anthony Hopkins. He is celebrating 49 years of sobriety and posted an inspirational video about it.
Good for him.
I just wanted to say, that's so freaking hard, and I applaud him. I can't even quit Dr. Pepper. So
I still like one of his earlier films, Magic. That's kind of a horror film. With
I don't even know what that is.
Look that one up.
Okay.
I saw that when I was Drew's age, and it terrified me. And it's really good.
Okay. Magic with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, a lot of the early films that Anthony Hopkins did, even when he was drunk, were still pretty decent.
You mean through the entirety of The Last Night? No, wait, 49 years sober. He wasn't. He just acted like he was.
Right.
What an actor, man. Wolfman.
Yes.
Do you remember what was it we were talking about earlier where we said if we're so familiar with this thing that we're not going to like it when we see it?
Yeah.
Someone let us know in the comments at Grand Review Pod. What were we talking about? But Wolfman has the director Lee Winnell has said some people won't like it because his monster is different from the traditional one.
I'm fine with that.
I am too. I just thought it was interesting that he's coming out and being like, this is not what you're expecting.
Well, The Invisible Man wasn't either.
Exactly, yeah.
And his take on that was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. I freaking love that movie.
I like Elizabeth Moss, though, too. I wish she was in more stuff.
Yeah, Elizabeth Moss is...
Moss.
I'm like a moss to the flame. But he said maybe there are some people that won't like it because they love the traditional wolf too much, but that was the approach I wanted. He added that his Wolfman is 100% practical, all makeup. There are no CGI elements.
Nice.
That
I'm
makes
really
me
excited.
so interested.
Yeah, I'm really excited. 2 weeks. We'll be there.
Oh, we're so close. But yeah, he said...
tickets go on sale next Tuesday.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to get those. I want recliners. I want to be in the row J. I want to be there.
Oh yeah, I got you. Hour 43 minutes.
That's short. I would expect more, but you know what? I'm sure it's
probably going to be
perfectly
perfect.
paced. Yeah.
Yep.
I have good news for you.
Oh, okay.
Violent Night 2
Yay!
is coming, and the writers say, we know what people want.
More David Harbour killing terrorists?
More
yes.
David Harbour killing terrorists and probably puking out the side of the sleigh.
Oh, that's right. You haven't seen it.
I haven't yet, no. But it's so funny to me that the writers of that are also the writers of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. That's so weird.
So they get the adult entertainment out, and that's their avenue.
Yeah.
That's cool. At least they have something that they can focus that on.
It's just so I hope their writing is better in Violent Night than it is in Sonic.
Violent Night is generally a big adult Home Alone.
I just hope the dialogue is better. Is really what I'm, because the dialogue in Sonic is pretty bad. Okay. Well, we all have our strengths, and theirs is not dialogue.
Go in with low expectations.
I always do.
Yeah, good.
That's also what I tell people when they come to see me do literally anything I say I'm good at.
But that film was surprising. Like, I really didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
Okay. Yeah.
But I like David Harbour really does keep that going, and John Leguizamo is pretty good in that too. So
I like David Harbour. I could do without John Leguizamo, but like he's good. He's just, I think he's an obnoxious human.
I want to give David Harbour's Hellboy a shot just because he's in that, but I've read just so many horrible things about that.
It's
I like the Guillermo del Toro ones way too much to stray from that.
Those are so interesting as movies.
Yeah.
I'm not a baby. I'm a tumor. That's from the second one.
Okay.
Miller told Collider, one of the writers, Casey and Miller, the two writers, Miller said the Violent Night movies are not as big budget as the Sonic movies, but we still want this one to feel bigger than the first one. And you don't want to just trap Santa in a mansion again. Santa's going to take his shirt off even more in this one. We know what the people want. We know people are hungry for more of his Viking backstory. David is especially excited about that stuff.
I bet.
So you get all the Santa nipples you want next Christmas. And that's
the first one did well here at Grand Avenue.
Did it really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
And then Smile 3 got greenlit.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
I can't think of anything else that I really read recently that was worth talking about. Yeah. So, yeah, I know our slate this month, we're confirmed for Wolfman, which we're both excited for.
Yes.
We're confirmed for Dogman, which we're not excited for. There's some titles floating out there this month that we're trying to get. Last Showgirl might be a possibility next week if Wicked finally takes a jump off a cliff, and Moana does too.
Even if it does jump off the cliff, my friend, I'm very sorry to say it will be defying gravity.
Yeah. No.
Well, fine. I'll just continue dancing through life.
Flight Risk we're looking forward to. We're probably going to get that. Den of Thieves 2.
I really want to see Flight Risk.
Yeah, Den of Thieves 2 is next week. I really like the first one.
Need to go see that one before Den of Thieves 2 comes out.
Yeah.
I like Gerard Butler.
So do I.
God help me, I do.
If lesser known Gerard Butler film, if you haven't seen it, Chasing Mavericks. Actually, really good movie.
Heard of that one, but not seen it.
True story, surfing father and dad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's actually a really good movie.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's as good as Gamer. I don't know.
No, I didn't like Gamer.
Gamer's bad. It's bad. But as a 13-year-old, oh my gosh, it was the coolest thing.
Yeah. And I'm actively really pursuing, along with our film buyer, a movie called September 5.
Yes, you told me about this one.
Yeah, and I got the year wrong. It was the 72 Olympics.
Okay.
With the Israeli athletes being taken hostage.
Yeah.
Trailer looks amazing.
Okay.
And I once again, love true stories, especially stuff from different points of view like that.
Yeah.
Because apparently the whole thing was the sports crew was there when it happened. The news crew tried to intervene. They pretty much told the sports people, "You're not real journalists," and they were like, "No." If you haven't seen the trailer, look that up. It's definitely it's in limited release across the country right now. It gets the wider release in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So there's some more adult entertainment coming out this month, but some interesting titles. And then we'll see at the end of the month what the Academy Award nominations look like.
That's right.
And we'll have to do a special about that or something.
Oh, absolutely.
And I still say for the Academy Awards this year, like you and Hannah and me and Jessica watch it at my place, and then we'll just make fun of everything.
It's fine, but I'm going to boo constantly.
That's fine. It can't be any worse than
just at the people on the screen.
It can't be any worse than, like I said, the year that Nomadland won Best Picture, and I was like, you got to be kidding.
No, we actually, we'll have to do our top 10 next week, but it was a pretty good year for movies overall. Like
this year's going to be even. Everything that I'm reading is this year is trending like really high.
Yeah.
With some titles that are coming out. And
great. Get out to the theater, folks. Don't just sit in. Oh, good news. Wicked, our review of Wicked actually got Colin, who I mentioned on the last episode. When he listened to the podcast, he hadn't been to a movie theater in 5 years. We got him into the seats.
Really?
That was our doing, and I will take all the credit for it. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I get no credit.
No, I'm kidding.
Jeez.
But no, I seriously, like, I know that, you know, there are people who very much go, I'd rather watch it at home. I don't like the hassle of the theater and all that stuff. But man, some things like seeing it on the big screen really is just the only way to really experience.
Gladiator was like that, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Gladiator.
And I'm going Sunday to see 7.
Yeah, I'm so jealous I can't go with you. I wanted to, but there's stuff I got.
That film is just, it's a descent into hell.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it. And I really do like that film, even it's just so dark.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey.
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow's in that too.
That's right. Yeah.
Briefly. I think that's where her and Brad Pitt met.
Is it?
Was on the set of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they don't like box her into that kind of role all the time.
Oh. If you haven't seen, that's a spoiler if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen 7, if you're a fan of like suspense thriller, definitely search that out.
Yeah.
It's worth watching.
Fincher knows how to make a movie.
Yeah, except Alien 3.
I don't think that one's entirely his fault though. I think there was some studio notes.
But like,
I need to dig into that though. I could be wrong. Maybe it is his fault.
I told you last night too. The other one that I really liked that I don't think got a fair shake was The Social Network.
Social Network's so good. It was a critical darling, but not a financial.
No, it wasn't. So. I was running a 2-screen in Orange, Texas, and it didn't do well. But that's Orange, Texas.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you know, how many people are going to come out of the swamp to learn about computers?
And on that note, I think we're wrapping it up here.
Whew, okay, what a marathon. Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
We really appreciate you listening. We really do. And sorry for being repetitive in my Sonic review, but I was drooling over Shadow the Hedgehog being so cool.
Being so brief in my Mufasa review.
No, I think that was perfect. It's bad. We all knew it. Please don't spend money on it. Make sure you let us know what you think about these movies. Good, bad, great, or terrible. Those are the only ratings we will accept. If you say anything else, we will come to your house and give you a stern look. And then...
Speak for yourself.
You can find us at Grand Review Pod or send us an email, grandreviewpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And then, just don't give us a 1-star review. That would be sad. Or 2. At least some engagement would be great. Okay.
Yeah. Please.
That means there's only one thing left to do, Andy, and that is to say, we'll
see you at the movies.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.